Yeah.
The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Good morning and welcome to the webinar talking to LEAs about communicating effectively. My name is Jackie DiDomenico. I'm joined today by Becky Fogel and Karen Cantor, principal of Simmons Elementary School, and her team, who's going to share with you her experience in participating in a series about increasing family and parent engagement. Today is the third in the series of Talking to LEAs webinar series, and as you see by the title, it is regarding parent engagement and communicating effectively. PATEN's mission is to support the efforts and initiatives of the Bureau of Special Education and local education agencies. PATEN's purpose is to build capacity of the LEAs to serve students who receive special education services. The intent of today's webinar is to share the information with LEAs regarding effective communication. As you can see, PDE's commitment to the least restrictive environment is noted in each PATEN presentation. Commitment is to make sure that the general education setting is the first consideration for placement using supplementary aids and services. Our LEA to LEA webinar series has been going on now all year. We had our first one in September, the second was in November, today is the third as mentioned, and our next and final one will be the 11th of March. Each of these will be archived and will be able to be found at the PATEN website. As you can see by our agenda, we're going to start off with an overview of the State Performance Plan indicators, the PTA standards. We're going to share with you briefly about the Enhancing Parent Engagement training series, and then we will hear from Principal Karen Cantor and her team at Simmons Elementary School. We'll wrap up with time for questions and sharing of resources. If at any time you do have a question, you notice in the right-hand column that you have a chat box, and you can send those questions to us via the chat box. The Pennsylvania State Performance Plan consists of 20 indicators. These 20 indicators are indicators for success and represent a framework for continuous improvement in special education. Indicator 8 is to increase parent involvement in their child's special education program. According to the Individuals with Disabilities Education Act, implementing regulations, the latest revision of the federal education law, there are many additions to the law designed to improve the education of students with disabilities. The framework set aside by the State Performance Plan has those 20 indicators. Parent engagement and family involvement is in accordance with Indicator 8, and why we have these webinars to support local education agencies in increasing their family involvement. The PTA standards were developed in accordance with the review and research done by Ann Henderson and Karen Mapp. They concluded that there's a positive and convincing relationship between family involvement and student success. Put it another way, when families are involved in their children's learning both at home and at school, then children do better in school. Their report points to specific types of involvement especially beneficial to children's academic success. The findings provide a framework for strengthening parent and family involvement programs. PTA, working with leading experts, have updated the standards, and they now reflect the recent research to improve parent and community involvement practices. The updated national standards shift the focus from what schools should do to involve parents to what parents, schools, and communities can do together to support student success. The research around the 6 PTA standards helped Patton, along with the Pennsylvania Parent Involvement Resource Centers and a group of stakeholders, develop a set of publications, which grew into a series of 6 modules around parent engagement. These modules are packed with resources for local education agencies to increase parent and family involvement. In 2011 and 2012 school year, we began team training series around the modules. This involved teams coming here or to the to the Harrisburg office or to the Pittsburgh office, as well as on-site visits through the school year. The team training series focused on the modules that were developed by Patton and those stakeholders. Patton supported 4 teams in the 2011-12 year in the West, as well as 4 teams in the East. The teams in the West were Armstrong, Brownsville, Farrell, and collaboratively with the East, Pennsylvania Virtual Charter School. In addition, in the East, we supported East Stroudsburg Middle School, World Communication Charter School, and Simmons Elementary School. Each of these teams completed the needs assessment component of the module series. Using needs assessment results, teams selected which module or PTA standard they were going to focus on. This guided their work throughout the school year and gave them means to increase their family and parent engagement. The team from Hatboro-Horsham Elementary School, or Simmons Elementary School in Hatboro-Horsham School District, is led by Principal Karen Cantor, and their focus was on communicating effectively.
Good afternoon. I'm Karen Cantor, the principal of Simmons Elementary School in the Hatboro-Horsham School District. We're located in Montgomery County, north of Philadelphia, and have a student enrollment of approximately 800 students in kindergarten through grade 5. We also host 2 district classrooms for autistic support services, 2 district-wide life skills support services, and 2 preschool classrooms. We're delighted that you could join us today, and our team looks forward to sharing our initiatives with you. As each person speaks, they'll introduce themselves and their role here at Simmons Elementary School.
Good morning. I'm Anne Marie Taylor. I'm a speech therapist at Simmons. Last year we were part of the core team for Simmons. It was a regular ed teacher, it was special education teachers, parents, a speech therapist, and our principal were part of the school-wide committee involvement. We actually met after school with staff and parents to fill out a survey, and from that survey, the needs assessment survey, we decided to focus on standard number 2, which is communicating effectively.
My name is Alyssa Hetrick. I'm an autistic support teacher at Simmons Elementary School. Once we decided to focus on standard number 2, which was communicating effectively, we took that back to Patton, and Patton provided us with some information on a CD that we could go on, and had lots of different activities and things that we could use to strengthen our performance in communicating effectively. So what we did at that time at Patton was we went through all of the activities and we chose a few. Some of them we did by ourselves as a core group, and some we decided to bring back to our faculty as well as our parents. So at a faculty meeting, we actually did an activity that focused on how communication can change as it goes down a line of different people. And then we actually presented that to our parents at a Home and School Association meeting. So it just kind of got the ball rolling, got everyone thinking about how communicating effectively is important. One of the other things that we did was we started planning for the 2012-13 school year and how we could use our module to communicate more effectively with parents and community, etc. one of the things that we came up with was to develop a spring open house. We already have an open house in the fall, so one of my colleagues is going to speak to you about that. My name is Hillary Schenkman. I'm a literacy specialist here at Simmons. This slide is an overview, which we will be explained in more detail in the following slides. We have back to school night. Back to school night. Family curriculum nights, which include math, reading, and science. The Simmons Star newspaper. And our final initiative is the Spring Celebration of Learning.
My name is Linda Birkelbach. I am a second grade regular education teacher, and I'm going to fill you in on some of the things that we did to adjust our back to school night in response to feedback that we had received from the parents. When we presented some of our original initiatives to a group of parents at the Home and School Association, some of the feedback that we received was that they were interested in having a more interactive experience at back to school night. So we piloted 3 different kinds of changes this year. We have in the intermediate elementary grades, we have several parallel block teaching classrooms, and the teachers switched up their back to school night this year so that they were leading 2 sessions back to back. In between those sessions, they had a brief meet and greet for the parents. So this enabled the parents to begin their evening in their child's homeroom, and then they were able to informally meet their child's second teacher for a brief chat. And then they also had the choice to attend that teacher's session to learn more in-depth information about that area of the curriculum. Some of the primary classrooms focused on a more hands-on approach, setting out supplies, math and science supplies with directions for experiments and games that the children had been engaging in. A packet of information outlining the areas of study in the curriculum was sent home the night before for parents to review for any necessary questions and discussions at back to school night. The teacher then had the opportunity to chat with all of the parents as they explored the classroom and observed the curriculum materials. And then this followed a more informal group-led discussion. The third pilot was in keeping with the district initiatives for building strong classroom communities. A morning meeting model was used in which the parents were given a chance to participate in their child's daily routine by attending a morning, or in this case an evening meeting, with all the elements in place. Parents greeted and introduced themselves. Then during the sharing portion of the meeting, parents were given an opportunity to share exactly what their children had a few days before, which were their hopes for this school year. The news portion of the meeting then reviewed the areas of study sent home the night before, and the activity portion became a problem-solving session that addressed many of the beginning of the year concerns that parents typically have in the format of a community working together to make decisions that were best for all.
Good afternoon. My name is Lindsay Belizzi. I'm a 3rd grade teacher at Simmons, but I'm also a parent of a student who attends Simmons as well. I'm going to talk about Mathapalooza, which is one of the family nights of curriculum that the families get to come to and enjoy with their children. Recently, we've just had our 5th annual Mathapalooza Math Night. The teachers run each game, and the games are based on our Everyday Math series. The games are multi-leveled, so children in grades K through 5 can enjoy the night. The students, they share with their parents how to play the games that they've already played in school. And then the parents can play along. With each game that they attend to, the children earn a sticker, and then they can put their completed sticker card into a raffle basket. And throughout the night, we raffle off math games and different prizes for the children to win as an incentive. Also, this night runs also in conjunction with our family book fair night. This is run by the HSA, the Home and School Association, and the families can shop for books while they're playing their math games. So it's really a fun night for all the kids and their families, and the families get to see what's going on in the classroom. On the next slide, there is a science night that we also do, and this spring will be our 3rd annual Family Science Night here at Simmons. We run this event in partnership with Science Explorers, And the teachers here at Simmons facilitate hands-on science experiments for students at every grade level. The students got to take home a commemorative photo of themselves dressed up as a scientist in a science lab. The fifth graders here, they present and share their science fair projects as well at this time. Each fifth grader gets a participation award. So the families get to go around to different stations doing different science experiments. The kids like to show their parents. And then we can visit the fifth graders on their projects as well.
My name is Eileen Greenberg, and I'm another literacy specialist here at Simmons. Literacy Night was added this year to complement our math and science nights. We will offer a range of activities to appeal to students at different grade levels with varying interests. Planned activities include board games such as Memory and Scrabble, creating Valentine's cards or decorating bookmarks, reading quote-unquote Under the Stars, which will be in a classroom inside a tent with flashlights, and creating tasty treats where children will follow a recipe to assemble their own snack, measuring the ingredients such as M&Ms, pretzels, Chex, and raisins.
I'm Georgiana Vaughn, speech-language pathologist, and I'll speak to you about the Simmons Star newspaper. On the next slide. The Simmons Star newspaper is a student-led, teacher-supervised endeavor. It began as an extension activity for students in grades 4 and 5 who enjoyed writing. It gave these students a way of developing reporting skills and a chance to produce a document which would inform parents about school happenings. The newspaper is published on a monthly basis. Teachers email ideas and the students choose the topics they wish to cover. Students do interviews with peers, teachers, and even parents about activities and events within the school community. Other students are assigned as photographers and take pictures to accompany the stories. When the issue is completed, the principal sends out an email blast to parents and teachers. It is also placed on the Simmons School website. The students take real pride in their publication. Over the past 3 months, parent and teacher feedback have been positive. Compliments have come in not only from parents of the newspaper staff, but other parents as well. Connections have been established between the grade levels within the school setting. All grade levels have been featured in the paper, and the newspaper has become somewhat of a motivator to the younger students. It's another activity to look forward to doing when they get to be 4th graders. Upcoming issues of the newspaper will also include reviews of community and school-related events, as well as reviews of local restaurants and businesses. It's just another way of connecting school, parents, and the community. On the next slide, you'll be able to hear from students themselves about their participation on the paper.
I love the newspaper so much that every day when it comes out, I run home, print it out with my parents, and I look for my friend's name and stuff in the newspaper, and I see all my friends' names, and then I get to see what I've been a part of and what this is.
This video clip is from a Home and School Association sponsored event at the local Barnes & Noble bookstore. Student reporters attended the event to report on all of the scheduled activities. They interviewed the teacher who coordinated the event with the HSA, observed teachers who acted as guest readers, and interviewed students and parents to get their feedback about the event. Photographers were also there to capture all of the evening's fun.
out of school newspaper because everyone can tune in and everybody's commitment. We all see the photos and of course my aunt's name with my name and stuff and then at it. I like to learn everything and my last report I got to the second grade room and you learn how I get to read him and that's about it.
Good afternoon. I'm Kristen Liat. I'm a 5th grade teacher at Simmons, and I'm also a parent of a 3rd grader and a 5th grader at Simmons. New on our calendar this spring is going to be a spring celebration of learning. This came as a result of parents expressing a desire to see some of their children's work and efforts from the year closer to the end of the year. Parents voice that they come in for parent-teacher conferences in the fall, and we're kind of curious to see the results of what the children had done here. The key idea behind the Spring Celebration of Learning is that it's student-led, kind of a tour of their learning. The teachers will be facilitators. It's designed to be an open house format that takes place in the evening. Some children will lead their parents on a scavenger hunt of their learning. Some children will be sharing their data notebooks that come out of one of our school goals of following Sean Covey's 7 Habits of Happy Kids. Children sharing their SMART goals and the results, as well as portfolios of their work. We feel that the open house format will allow for kids to kind of go through at their own pace, can work into the parents' schedules in the evenings. And can also include tours of the building and getting into classrooms that aren't necessarily where they spend their entire day, but maybe parts of their day, these specials and other support staff in the building.
The Wellness Committee is another committee that is new to our school this year. The goal is to bring awareness to staff and students about the importance of staying healthy by eating functional foods and staying active. Our school has been involved with a spring walking club, Girls on the Run, and we are starting a winter walking club, including all students and teachers, before the start of the school day.
Hi, this is Karen Cantor, the principal again. As you can see, there are a lot of exciting things happening at Simmons Elementary School with connecting our parents to our school community. Some of the next steps for parent and community communication are a preschool outreach. I will be working with our child care director to reach out to area preschools and to explore joint professional development opportunities with the preschools and other ways that we can enhance the transition from our area preschools to the Simmons Elementary School kindergarten program. We're also piloting this year with Junior Achievement, a community partnership with Janssen Pharmaceuticals. They send representatives from Janssen to Simmons to do a series of 5 classes at each grade level that are focused on business and entrepreneurship.
Okay, thanks so much. Karen, we do have a couple of questions that came through that I'd like to take a few minutes and have you talk about before we move into our section about resources.
Okay.
Great. One question came up asking some information about the life skills support classes. The person was wondering if you could talk about why there were 2 classes, what maybe the differences are of them, and also about the differences between the 2 kindergarten classes. Is one inclusive, or are there ever other differences between those 2 classes?
There really isn't a difference in the programming for the 2 life skills classes. We have it split with a primary life skills resource room, which is children in K to 2, and then an intermediate grade level 3 to 5. We also have learning support students integrated into that resource room as well, depending on their needs. And the preschool classes, we have 2 classes because it's been so successful that we opened a second classroom this year, and children with disabilities are welcomed into both of those classrooms and are included.
Okay, great. And one other question that came through that I think I will address as a Patton employee, one of the comments was made that Patton is working through the Bureau of Special Education, and they felt that that was an area that wasn't really addressed specifically through this webinar. They are correct that Patton does go with the work of the Bureau of Special Education. However, the Parent Engagement Initiative is to stress the importance of communicating and engaging all parents, not just those with disabilities. So Karen, can you maybe talk a little bit about some of the special education aspects of your team? One of the comments was made that they did not hear a special education teacher present today, but we know that you did have special education staff as part of your parent engagement team, and any enlightenment that's come out of this program specifically to communicating with parents of students with disabilities.
Yes, we did have presenters from special education today. We had one of our autistic support teachers who's been very involved in this work of the committee, who presented one of the earlier slides. Also our speech language therapist, one of the ones that spoke, works primarily with students with disabilities, with autistic support and life skills support. So we have tried, and part of our motivation at Simmons Elementary for focusing on parent engagement is because we are a large elementary school and we host district-wide programs in autistic support and life skills support, was how to include all parents, even if this was not their neighborhood school, how to include everyone in our school community. Part of the initiatives we spoke about with Back to School Night and reorganizing that event was also the ability of parents who might work with a general education and a special education teacher to afford them the ability to go to multiple classrooms and meet the teachers and the other families. Did that answer your question? Yes.
Oh, I hope so. There was my question, but I think I think you did address it. I think perhaps the listener wasn't aware of some of those things, so I'm glad that you clarified some of those things that were maybe in your presentation that they missed or didn't realize. Great. Another question was asking about some of the demographics of your school and specifically asking about communicating with families of who might be English language learners themselves, not even necessarily the students, but families, and also any functionally illiterate families. Do you have things in place to communicate with them?
We have a low incidence population of English language learners and parents for whom English is not their primary language. We do leverage technology to assist us with those communications. When I send out email blasts or phone blasts to families, I have the ability to instantly translate those to Korean or Spanish, which are the two languages that our families need the translations for. We also have translation services available to assist with parent meetings. Again, it's not a significant issue for us as it may be in other school communities, but as it arises, we make those efforts to have the communication in the home language so that everyone can participate.
Great. Then we also had a question about the person working in an advisory capacity for the school paper and wondering if there's efforts made to have special education students as part of the program, either in writing articles or participating in that newspaper.
Yes, she didn't speak during the webinar, but she is here with us. Megan Grimes, who is one of our 4th grade teachers, can speak to that.
Any students are more than welcome to sign up for the paper. It was a voluntary thing. So at this time, I do not have any special education students writing for the paper, but I do have quite a few that are photographers for the paper, and they go out and take the pictures for the articles that the reporters have written. But special education students are more than welcome to attend or write for the paper, and I assist them in any way that they need. Also, our 4th grade special education teacher has been more than willing to help if any of her students wanted to write for the paper. She was willing to work with them as well.
Great. And the last question that I see here in the box is asking about your thoughts. Do you believe that the parents with disabilities feel as engaged I'm sorry, let me read this a little bit. Students with disabilities feel as engaged in your school that are not in your catchment area, that don't live right within your bounds. Do you feel that you are able to engage and work with those parents as well?
Yeah, I'm actually going to invite our autistic support teacher to address that since she works directly with many of those families.
So, my name is Alyssa Hetrick. I'm one of the autistic support teachers at Simmons Elementary. We do have a lot of students that come in from other neighborhood schools. We have 5 schools in our district, and for several years we were the only school that had students with autism or any type of severe autism that might need a self-contained environment. We're actually branching out on that in our district. That's one of the ways that we're trying to increase our LRE so that our students can be in their home schools. We just opened a new classroom in one of our other elementary schools. But our parents we try and schedule any nights like open house or anything that the parents might have to attend. They might have a child in a different neighborhood school and also have a child in a special education environment at Simmons. So we try and make sure that we schedule different nights. We feel like we're very open to communication from anyone. Our schools are not very far apart, so they're able to access the schools. We invite our parents to come in at any point that they request for observations, things like that. We just have our special education staff, I feel, has a very open form of communication with any of our parents. I don't think it limits them that they're from a different neighborhood school.
Great. Thank you so much for answering those questions. The last portion of our webinar today is we're going to talk about some of the resources that are available to anyone to access through our system, through the Patton website. And as we mentioned earlier, we are part of the Pennsylvania Department of Education. You can see by the logo here on this screenshot, and specifically the Bureau of Special Education. And as I mentioned a little while ago, parent engagement obviously is a topic for parents and faculty working together of students with or without disabilities. So our here is specific to students with disabilities, but to work with all. Hopefully you are at least a little bit familiar with the Patton website since you have registered to attend this, so I won't go over that too much. But if you have not taken the time to look over what other types of things are available, please to parent under that have the same. It has slightly different take or some slightly different resources. But because the purpose of talking to LEA, we're looking specifically at the information designed for educators as part of today's webinar. And this next slide look at things a little more specifically as it comes on the resource section of our pages. Early on, the Simmons team members mentioned information on a CD, and that information, parent engagement modules, were sent out to all LEAs across the Commonwealth in January of 2011. So a copy of that is or should be available somewhere within a district of anyone who's listening in today. Additionally, within about the last year or so, we have been working very hard at getting that information housed through the Patton website. So you can also access all of that module information through the website. So even if you're not familiar with the CD or you don't know where the CD is in your LEA, it is available or for parents, for anyone. If you can access the website, you can access the information. It would be the section of our website that you would access to find that. You will also notice as you go through this that there is other information about upcoming events. And one of the upcoming events that I will mention is in early March, March 6th through 8th, there is the Pennsylvania Department of Education Conference, Making a Difference, Educational Practices That Work. We're very fortunate that on Thursday and Friday of that session, we will be having some parent engagement sessions. There will be some poster presentations from some of our teams that are working through the training series this year. Folks from the Simmons team will be there too as they continue to strive to improve their work around parent engagement and reach out to others about things that are happening there as well. So if anyone listening is able to get there, please, you can find that information on the Patton website as well. There are also parent scholarships available that our parent consultants, Jackie DiDomenico, who you heard speaking earlier today, and Linda Cartwright from our office are working with that. So feel free to contact them or find that information on the website for parents that you work with. Also, as Jackie mentioned early on, we are recording these webinars. We will have them archived. You will be able to access webinars that had previously been delivered through there. You will find out information about any new ones. You will notice that one that will be coming up is designed for LEAs that are going to be a part of this year's Indicator 8 training. And there is also information about the Indicator 8 parents getting ready. So you can also find that information through there. Additionally, you will notice that there are some outside of Patton resources mentioned. There are links to some federal resources, some other things that come along, and that may be changing over time. So check back and see what types of things are listed there. You will also notice down towards the right-hand side are the list of consultants and names of folks that work in each of the 3 Patton offices that are assigned to the Parent Engagement Initiative. So if you have questions or would like further information from any of us, you can find our contact information in that way. We also talked about Simmons being a part of our pilot year last year. They were one of the teams that were involved with our rolling out, of these modules and working through a very in-depth needs assessment, examining their own practices, determining what areas they needed to further develop, what areas they're pretty strong in, what areas they needed to tweak, and that's what led them to select the second of the PTA modules, Module 2, Communicating Effectively. So there is information about that, and if the LEAs that you are working with are interested in more information about that training series, you certainly could contact one of us. We are hopeful that we'll be able to offer this training series again next year. If that is able to happen, you will find the information about that training series, how to apply for it, how to find out more about it. Will also be housed here through our parent engagement page. So again, I would really like to take the opportunity to thank so much our LEA for being a part of today and talking about their experiences and what types of things they identified as needing to continue to work towards. I don't think there's ever anyone who can say we're done working on parent engagement, and Simmons has really examined their practice and done a lot and continues to do that. And I thank them so much for being a part of our pilot team last year and for continuing to work to increase their parent engagement. Karen Cantor's contact information is here on the last slide, as well as my own, Rebecca Fogel, from the King of Prussia office here at Patton. I would like to thank all my Patton colleagues for being a part of this. I hope that it is helpful, and we look forward to the next series webinar coming up in March and the other ones that we mentioned through our resource page. Thanks so much, everyone. Bye-bye.